What if these stone garden layouts weren't just beautiful, but buildable, right where you live? At Arkan Aesthetic Studio, we create small space designs that feel like magic, even if you've never touched a shovel. Today, we'll show you 10 layouts that may look unreal, but they're practical, personal, and possible. Use the timestamps to jump around, ask anything in the comments, and make it your own. And if you feel something here, don't just scroll. Subscribe. Help keep a small dream growing. One, stone lantern border accent, garden edging. Sometimes, beauty speaks in whispers. It doesn't always need grandeur. It doesn't require vast land, towering gates, or marble statues. Often, the most timeless charm lies tucked quietly beside a flowerbed, shaped by stone, softened by nature. In this garden, the lanterns do not light with fire. They glow in the way they anchor the eye, the way they rest between lavender, coneflowers, or thyme. Hand-formed, imperfect, each one layered gently like memory, as if someone placed them with intention and walked away, smiling. The first image brings you into a curved garden edge kissed by morning. Stone lanterns of slate and river rock line the border like a quiet procession. Ornamental grasses rise behind them, rustling with breeze. Purple coneflowers lean inward, as if listening to secrets held in stone. The next setting feels even more still, a cooler tone, with creeping thyme beneath and hydrangeas above. Each lantern is shaped differently, and that's the magic. They don't match. They harmonize. It's a quiet design lesson. That contrast can be gentle, not loud. That edges don't need to be sharp to hold presence. The final frame invites simplicity. Smooth river stones frame the lawn, and the stone lanterns sit confidently among white alyssum and soft lavender. The light is bright, the shadows short. It feels like early afternoon, just before the watering can is picked up, just before the bees return. These aren't just decorations. They're garden punctuation marks, a pause, a breath, a reminder that art doesn't have to move you. If you're wondering, yes, this is DIY-able. Truly. Start with a single lantern. You can find many online, or build one yourself using layered flat stones and adhesive. Place it where you'd least expect a sculpture. Then, frame it. Creeping thyme, moss, chamomile, or lavender all work beautifully. Choose stones that don't match perfectly. Let time shape them. Let weather touch them. Let the garden grow wild around them. Because the truth is, you don't need a big garden to make something beautiful. You only need intention and patience. Two, curved river rock path around mini pond, garden path. Some gardens don't need to speak loudly. They hum gently, through water that ripples without wind, and through stones that guide the feet in quiet arcs. This space, wrapped around a small pond, feels like a forgotten page from an old story. A place where nature moves in slow rhythm, and nothing is rushed. In the first scene, your eyes are drawn to symmetry, but not perfection. Smooth, Rounded river rocks hug the edge of a shallow pond. Yellow iris pierce upward like gentle flames. The water is still, reflective. Surrounding it, a circular path laid with stone squares and fine gravel creates a simple choreography of balance. It's geometric, yet soft. Controlled, but never cold. Then we move to something wilder. A frog sculpture sits in the middle of a mossy-edged pond, as if waiting for someone to notice it, or perhaps waiting to speak. The rocks here vary in tone: weathered gray, sandy beige, muted rust. Moss and creeping thyme spill over the edges, making it feel like the garden has grown into the path, not the other way around. There's movement in the stillness. Dragonflies skim the water's surface, and the pond breathes in the quiet. Finally, a curved stepping path runs beside a larger lily-covered pond. Here, structure and softness meet. Neatly aligned rectangular stones are inlaid into gravel, framed by river pebbles, and bordered by bright green grasses that sway beside the water. It's the kind of space where you might walk barefoot, where even a short walk feels intentional, not to get somewhere, but to feel where you already are. You don't need much space to create a moment like this. Only the will to shape what's already under your feet. If you're dreaming of adding a pond, start small. Use a flexible liner or a pre-formed basin, and frame it with smooth, rounded river stones. Place your stepping stones farther apart than you think. Let the curve happen naturally. Fill the gaps with gravel or thyme. Let plants grow near the edge, and don't try to control them too much. Because a path like this isn't just for walking. It's for remembering to pause. To notice how still water makes the sky feel bigger. To notice how stone, once cold, becomes warm in the sun. To realize that beauty, sometimes, lives in the bend. Three, natural stone bench with floral backdrop, edging. In the hush of a garden corner, where words fall quiet and thoughts bloom softly, sits a humble stone bench, not just a seat, but a silent witness to seasons unfolding. The first image draws us into a garden alcove framed by a trellis, where clematis vines rain lavender and white blossoms like gentle memories. Beneath, a flat stone bench gathers fallen petals, as if the flowers themselves are resting, too. Surrounding it, calendulas shine like golden suns, and catmint sways in fragrant whispers. This spot isn't made for display, it's made for breathing, for unwinding, for being. And yes, you could create this: a few trellis panels, a flowering vine, and a natural bench crafted from concrete or reclaimed stone. Let nature do the decorating. In another corner, more refined yet equally tender, a slate-raised flowerbed frames a moss-draped stone bench. Foxgloves rise like bells waiting to chime, and yarrow nods along in gentle clusters. The watering can beside it tells us this place is tended with love, not for perfection, but for presence. This design is ideal for tight urban spaces. A DIY raised bed using stacked stone tiles or concrete blocks, paired with vertical flowering plants, can transform even the smallest yard into a personal Eden. Finally, we meet a bench carved by time, rough edges, speckled with lichen, yet proud and unyielding. Behind it, hollyhocks stretch like sentinels, delphiniums rise like cathedral windows, and roses climb like poetry. This is the kind of bench that has stories, the kind grandparents might have built and children might return to as adults. Want to recreate the magic? Choose irregular stones, let imperfections show, and pair it with wild blooms. Plant seeds, and let them climb not just walls, but into memory. Each corner of these gardens whispers a different kind of beauty. None of it feels overly designed. It feels lived in, trusted, timeless. And you, with your hands and heart, can build a place like this. Maybe not all at once, but piece by piece, flower by flower, season by season. Four, mixed stone pattern pathway with floral inset, garden path. There's something undeniably magical about stepping onto a garden path where no two stones are the same. The way your eye travels along the swirls and spirals, the way the textures seem to tell their own little stories, it draws you in quietly, almost like a whispered invitation. In this whimsical walkway, mismatched stones, some circular, some roughly cut, some hand-painted with vibrant flower motifs, come together in harmony. It's as if someone decided to quilt the earth with stone and bloom. Painted daisies dance across soft river rocks, while blooming marigolds, alyssum, and violets gently cradle each edge of the path like living borders. The design feels joyful, even childlike, and yet deeply grounded. A space where creativity runs wild, but the earth still holds it gently in place. And here's the beauty of it. This kind of layout isn't reserved for professional landscapers or massive estates. It's DIY in the purest, most rewarding sense. Start small. Gather stones from a riverbed or repurpose what you already have. Don't worry about symmetry. Let imperfection lead. Fill in the cracks with fragrant ground cover, moss, or even colorful blooms. The result? A mosaic of memories you've laid by hand. A garden that grows not just from soil, but from soul. If you're working with children, this kind of painted rock path is the perfect opportunity to create a shared project. Let them paint the stones, sunflowers, stars, smiley faces, anything that sparks joy. And with each step down the path, they'll remember the day they made magic with their own two hands. What you see in this scene isn't fantasy. It's fully real, achievable, and waiting for you in your own backyard. Five, low stacked rock wall for raised flower bed, edging. In a quiet backyard, nestled within a spiral of hand-laid stones, something unexpectedly simple becomes extraordinary. The first garden reveals itself not through grandeur, but through intention, a soft spiral built with rough-cut blocks, stacked gently by hand. Nasturtiums spill over the edges like liquid sunshine, their round leaves and fiery blooms dancing on the morning breeze. There's no need for symmetry here. The charm lies in the story each stone tells. Uneven, textured, real. This kind of layout invites more than planting. It invites pause. A weekend project, perhaps, where you lay a rock upon rock with your own hands, choosing where nature should gently tumble and where it should climb. The second garden is more structured, a raised bed built with patience and care. Flat stones in beige and sand hues form a strong rectangle, enclosing not just flowers, but a world. Dahlias stretch toward the sun with regal confidence, while ornamental kale grounds the scene with rich purples and greens. A straw hat rests on the corner, as if its owner just stepped away, maybe to water something, maybe just to breathe. This is a garden that feels lived in, not staged. The beauty here is practical, easy to tend, clean in lines, but full of life. You could build this in an afternoon, and enjoy it for years. And then, there's the final round bed, a mosaic of mossy stones and spontaneous joy. Cosmos and black-eyed Susans rise together, shoulder to shoulder with zinnias and petunias, like an open-air bouquet always in bloom. Look closely and you'll spot the snail trails along the crevices, a silent testimony that life thrives in this circle. There's something undeniably poetic about gardens that don't try to impress, but simply exist. The kind of bed that requires only stone, soil, seeds, and a bit of patience. If you're dreaming of your own stone garden edging, let this be your reminder. It doesn't take a massive space, only thoughtful hands and a willingness to let nature fill in the blanks. Let your raised beds be more than borders. Let them become tiny sanctuaries where time slows and beauty grows. Six, winding stepping stone path with moss, garden path. There's a kind of path that doesn't lead you anywhere fast, and that's exactly the point. In the first image, we find ourselves deep within what feels like a forest dream. Smooth stepping stones, naturally rounded and imperfect, are scattered across a velvet floor of moss. Small mushrooms cling beside them, quietly thriving in the filtered golden light. A squirrel dashes ahead, almost like a guide inviting you further inward. This isn't just a garden path, it's a sanctuary of stillness. If you're drawn to the idea of peace as design, consider recreating something like this. Start with flat natural stones, not too polished, and let them sink slightly into the soil. Let moss claim the in-betweens over time. It takes patience, but it rewards with a softness few surfaces ever offer. A pathway like this doesn't interrupt nature, it whispers along with it. In the second garden, we see nature playfully stitching itself into the cracks of flagstone. Here, the path weaves between blooming violets and creeping thyme that have claimed their space freely. No hard lines, no borders, just harmony in chaos. The irregularity is intentional. It invites your eyes to linger longer. A tip if you want this look: choose moisture-loving low-ground covers like blue star creeper or Irish moss. They love sneaking between stones, softening the hard edges, and humming with tiny blooms when the season is right. Let dew be your gardener. This path is best when left alone. And then we arrive at the last image, a shaded retreat framed by fern fronds and broad-leaved hostas. The path bends gently, curving with the land instead of cutting through it. Every stone here feels like it's been waiting for you, warmed by dappled light and held gently by earth. There is serenity in the simplicity. Creating this kind of elegance is about restraint. Don't overthink placement. Walk barefoot on the soil and mark where your steps land naturally. That's where your stones belong. Use native greenery to fill the edges and leave plenty of room for moss to unfurl and spread like poetry on the ground. You see, not all beauty is bold. Some of it is quiet. Some of it waits for morning light and soft footsteps. And when a path is built with patience and love, it doesn't just lead somewhere. It becomes a place all on its own. Seven, mini walled herb border, edging. Nestled under the late morning sun, these small walled herb gardens whisper tales of simplicity, scent, and sustenance. The first scene greets us like a smile. A low ring of smooth fieldstones encircles a lively patch of herbs: mint, chives, dill, and sprigs of lavender all dancing in the breeze like old friends. Each stone seems to have a memory, warm with sunlight and softened by time. There's no extravagance here, just intention. You can almost hear the hum of bees, drawn by the purple blossoms and the open invitation of this miniature ecosystem. And the beauty? It's real, achievable, perhaps even tomorrow, in your own backyard. Move a little closer to the second garden, and the tone shifts. More formal in design, with square-set bricks carefully stacked, it wraps around the corner of a home like a woven apron around a baker's waist. Basil shines emerald in the center, flanked by lavender and oregano, aromatics that feel both grounded and elegant. There's something delightfully old-world about this composition. No fences, no borders, just useful beauty within arm's reach of your kitchen door. And with just a few hand tools, you could replicate this, in a weekend, in a quiet moment, in any corner kissed by sun. Then, the final frame offers a rustic charm so tactile it nearly invites touch. Herbs spill from a round stone planter, rosemary rising tall like a sentinel, sage low and silvery, thyme in soft bloom. A woven basket waits at the side, filled with fragrant cuttings and a small trowel still dusted with earth. This isn't just a garden, it's a ritual space. One where tea begins, where flavor lives, where morning dew is something to lean into, not brush away. Eight, rustic flagstone walkway through vertical garden, path. In the quietest corners of our homes, where walls once simply marked boundaries, a little imagination and a few flagstones can transform the mundane into the magical. Take a walk with me, through narrow passages where life clings to stone and light dances off leaves. It begins with something as simple as a path. Uneven, rustic flagstones form the backbone, their shapes organic, their edges worn like the wrinkles on a kind gardener's hands. They're not laid for perfection but for poetry, each step a rhythm, each gap a breath of earth in between. On either side, the walls come alive. In the first scene, planters in crisp green line the corridor like vertical meadows. Lettuce cascades in rosettes, thyme spills out in tufts, and marigolds beam with burnt orange joy. It's a functional feast that doubles as visual delight. This is not just a garden, it's a living wall of flavor. A tip for your own slice of vertical Eden. Start with modular wall planters or even upcycled crates. Good drainage and sunlight are your best friends here. Tuck in herbs you use daily, basil, mint, parsley, and add flowers not just for beauty, but for the bees. Then comes the gravel and flagstone path, a garden hallway punctuated by trellised towers. Morning glories climb skyward, wrapping around like whispered secrets told to the sun. Beneath them, the ground crunches underfoot, a mix of pale gravel and stepping stones guiding your way to a modest bench at the end. There's something deeply comforting about this space. It reminds you to sit, to rest, to witness. And perhaps that's the greatest lesson this design offers. A garden need not be sprawling to feel sacred. Sometimes, all it takes is symmetry, soft structure, and a place to pause. And finally, the most hidden of gems. A tucked-away passageway wrapped in ivy and lit with scattered flowers like sun-kissed freckles. Here, strawberries peek from slatted wooden planters, and herbs sway with the breeze. Opposite, nasturtiums burst through lattice, their round leaves catching light like little green shields. The flagstones curve slightly here, just enough to feel like a secret path in an old storybook. Everything is close, intimate, alive. There is magic in these narrow spaces. They teach us that beauty is not measured by square meters, but by intention. That a walkway can be more than a passage. It can be a destination, a retreat, a thread of nature stitched gently through the home. If you've ever thought, I don't have space for a garden, let these little worlds prove you wrong. Because between brick and fence, light and shadow, even the slimmest slice of earth can blossom. Nine, Mosaic stone flowerbed frame, edging. In the soft hush of a sunlit morning, there exists a kind of garden magic that doesn't shout, but sings gently, through color, texture, and stories told in stone and bloom. These mosaic flowerbeds aren't just pretty, they're tiny chapters of a greater tale. A tale of patience, hands at work, and the beauty of making something from nothing. Let's begin with the circular bed lined with scattered shards of white ceramic, hand-stamped bricks, and painted tiles. Each piece feels like a page from a diary, signed, cracked, imperfect. Yet, together, they create something extraordinary. Cosmos sway above like they've always been there, while bright red zinnias anchor the center like stars in a wheel of color. The beauty here isn't symmetry, but soul. If you've ever saved a broken plate thinking maybe one day, this is your sign. That one day can be now. All you need is mortar, your memories, and a willingness to play. Move along the path and find yourself greeted by a softer edge. Waves of blue and green pebbles nestled tightly around a low bed of pansies and dianthus. There's a soothing rhythm to this design, like ripples around a still pond. Bees drift lazily from bloom to bloom, unaware they're part of a living art piece. The trick to recreating this is simple. Choose rounded stones in complementary tones and set them deep in concrete so they sit flush and secure. Let nature blur the edges with creeping blooms and honeybee wings. And then, bold and joyful, stands the square garden, framed with mosaics that dazzle like stained glass in a chapel window. Marigolds flare like embers, while lobelias spill over the soil like indigo silk. The surrounding mosaic, a patchwork of life, shattered dishes, colored glass, broken teacups, found objects. It's not just a border, it's an embrace, a square of celebration for anyone who's ever loved color, chaos, and life in full bloom. These garden ideas are more than DIY, they are a kind of therapy, a grounding reminder that from broken things, beauty blooms. That flowers don't ask for perfect frames, only a place to grow. If you try these ideas, let it be messy, let it be honest, let it be yours. Because gardens, like people, don't need perfection to be breathtaking. They only need care, time, and the courage to begin. Cottage-style stone path with wildflowers. Path. There's something deeply human about paths. They don't just lead us forward, they carry our thoughts. They hold our memories, our morning strolls with a cup of tea, our late afternoon wanderings when the sun tilts golden and the bees begin their slow waltz between blooms. And here, within these three garden scenes, that magic is alive and well. Let's begin with a dreamy trail, irregular slabs of stone nestled gently in the soil, surrounded by a sea of cosmos in purples, whites, and deep pinks. A metal watering can rests like a forgotten chapter, and a cat naps contentedly, as if guarding the serenity of this little Eden. This is not a garden built in haste. It's a place where each plant has been given space to spill and soften the edges. If you've ever doubted whether chaos and beauty could exist in harmony, look no further. One simple but powerful takeaway: let your flowers overgrow the path. Don't fight nature's gentle sprawl. Allow your cosmos, bachelor's buttons, or sweet peas to lean in. In time, they will frame your walkway like a brushstroke of watercolor on a blank canvas. Next, the golden light of sunset falls gently on a flagstone path lined with foxgloves and calendula. Look closer, see the cracked stones, the tufts of grass pushing bravely between them. That imperfection is the soul of a cottage garden. It doesn't apologize. It invites you in with open arms and an open gate. If you're planning your own garden, resist the urge to overtrim or overcontrol. Plant your perennials in clusters. Let the gaps between stones collect dew, seeds, and dreams. Even wild chamomile might appear uninvited. Welcome it. It will fill your garden with scent, charm, and butterflies. Finally, a sun-kissed trail of cobbled stones winds toward a wooden gate, flanked by joyful poppies, whimsical daisies, and cornflowers dancing in the breeze. Each bloom feels spontaneous, unprogrammed, yet completely at home. This is a garden that doesn't scream to be noticed. It sings softly, and those who walk it can't help but hum along. The beauty here lies not just in color, but in contrast: rough stone against soft petals, the crisp outline of a gate between blurred edges of blooms. If you're designing your own garden path, consider how your flowers can provide that gentle balance. Use natural curves, layer tall stems with ground cover, and choose a palette that doesn't shout, just whispers sweetly. Remember, a garden path isn't just about getting somewhere. It's about where you are. It's about slow steps, unexpected fragrances, the lazy hum of bees, and the soft shuffle of your shoes brushing past blooms you planted seasons ago. Stone by stone, flower by flower, build your path like a poem written for your own 2 feet. And maybe, just maybe, a cat will find it too. And that's the end of today's garden journey. These 10 layouts might look like fantasy, but each one is entirely possible, no matter where you live or how much space you have. I'd love to hear which one you try first, or maybe combine a few ideas into your own version. Drop your thoughts in the comments, or ask anything. I always respond. If this video gave you ideas, inspiration, or even just a spark of peace, please like, comment, and subscribe. It's a small gesture that means the world to this channel. Until next time, keep creating with what you have. Your garden isn't just a space, it's a story waiting to grow.